Hello, welcome to the Reasonably Effective podcast brought to by myself, Uncommon Fossil, and 10 Types.
Yep. Hello, everyone. And today we're talking about some of the best Pokemon in the game. In fact, we are talking about the best Pokemon in the game. We
Yes.
each have top 10 lists of the best Pokemon, not Pokemon cards, so this isn't like trainers or energies. Um, I think we did say Snorlax doll. You can include that, though, which I assume is it's on your list.
The Black Snorlax is
No,
what
the
you're saying?
doll, Snorlax doll.
Oh, the doll. Oh, I don't
Yeah.
remember that. Well, then we can include the fossils as well, right? Which will
That,
be on
yeah,
your
that's
list.
true. That's true. Um,
Okay.
but anyway, so those aren't on the list. They're not good. But
No.
we have our list. We each have a top 10. We're gonna try to make a top 10 collectively. We also have some data from the website Played Out Limitless, which has a ton of tournament data. I went through, wrote a quick little program that was definitely optimized, definitely not just some random junk I threw together. And so we have the most played cards, and then we also have the cards with the highest win rate, or what should be the best cards. So we're gonna talk about those later and try to make it
Right.
collectively make a list that we think is the best cards. But you want to start with your top 10 cards?
Yeah, I will give mine. We're going to end up with a definitive top 10 list at the end. And probably this is the definitive one, obviously, we're started off with.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, of course.
number one, Radiant Greninja. Number two, Manaphy. Number three, Iron Hands EX. I'm not making any comments now, just running through the list.
Yep.
Number four, Lumineon V. In fifth place, Fluttermane. Six, Blood Moon Ursaluna EX. Seventh, Iron Bundle. Eight, Dragapult EX. Nine, Teal Mask Ogerpon EX. And in 10, Rotom V.
Okay, so I'll read through my list now, and I have number one Charizard EX, number two. Oh, sorry, Charizard EX, the Darkness one. There are two. Number two, Blood Moon Ursaluna EX. Number three, Pidgeot EX. Number four, Gardevoir EX. Number five, Radiant Greninja. Number six, Snorlax, the block one. Number seven,
Yep.
Squawkabilly EX. Number eight, Giratina V Star. Number nine, Iron Hands EX. And number 10, Dragapult EX. And in making this video, I said when we were talking, I said I misspelled one of this Pokemon, and that was Blood Moon Ursaluna EX. I always think it's Blood Moon's two words, but it's
Two
one word.
words, right? Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I've learned that mistake. I think I generally get it right now, but yes.
yeah, I always get it wrong, but
It,
I
and
say
we're
I'm
also
learning.
talking about how to spell squawkability before we start, because that's kind of an odd one too.
Yeah, Squawkabilly is a pretty weird card. So anything you want to talk about my list first, or should we talk about yours first?
Um, why don't I share some thoughts on my list first? Because I got some things I can say, and I don't know if you want to how much you want to dive into what, but I'll give a few thoughts. There's some Pokemon on this list that surprised me that I probably wasn't going to put on my top 10 list when I kind of did it by hand. I looked at some of the data, and that changed some things, some being a surprise, and shifted some things around. Look, I thought Radiant Greninja going in was probably my number one card. It still is. It's on your list, but down at five. I would think it probably ultimately will somewhere be between one and five. I don't think it'll go lower than five on the final list. It's played the most by a lot. So I know
Well,
it's
not exactly, kind of.
it's played in the most decks by a lot. It's played in
Yeah.
45% of the decks in on online tournaments. We'll get to the data later, but it's a lot. And then also the Manaphy is played in the number two decks significantly. There's a big gap between Gradient Greninja and Manaphy, and then a big drop off from Manaphy to the next one. So Manaphy to me is a little questionable whether it goes in two, but I kind of felt it was a top 10 card, and it's just played a lot. So I think to me it deserves that number two spot. Do you want to comment? Or do you want me to keep
Yeah,
talking?
yeah. So there's a few things. I'll talk about Manaphy first. You don't like Manaphy. You like always cut Manaphy from your decks.
That's true. Now, okay, now, so what are the criteria here is very tricky, right?
I feel like
I
if you
it,
don't like the card, then it shouldn't be like just the second what you think the second best. I mean, there's some you're trying. It's like you're trying to be objective, and I get that, but you don't like the card. I mean, you play it sometimes, but I play it more, and it's good, but it's also just a counter card. It doesn't do anything.
yeah, okay. So certain here's some of the criteria that are the criteria in my mind. So let's talk about this a minute. Like number of decks that it's played in, the more decks, the better the card, generally speaking. I
Yeah.
think you would agree with that. More copies played, it makes it better as well. So Radiant Greninja, at most you can only have one copy. So there'll be cards that, even though Radiant Greninja's in a lot of decks, there's cards that have more copies on average
Yeah.
because you can only because you can play four of most other Pokemon. So, but that's a factor too. Manaphy's still basically a one of index too when you look at the data. So, but it's still a lot of decks. Now I do think attacking Pokemon or Pokemon that are focus of a deck probably are a benefit. Certainly, attacking cards are better than support cards to me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and obviously these aren't that. Well, Radiant Greninja can be Manaphy is not an attacking Pokemon. It does do 20 for one water. I mean,
Yeah. I
but
almost got like I have a story to share later, but I almost lost to Manaphy. I almost got like eight shot out by Manaphy, but that didn't happen. So
yeah, I mean the old Mew with the bench barrier, whatever it was called. I think it was a
yeah.
bench barrier. That had a better attack. The attack on that wasn't great, but it was a lot better than Manaphy. But that's
Yeah.
not where we're at now. And then cards that are more universal are big. So that's why Radiant Greninja and Manaphy are very universal. Some of the
Yeah. So you
Pokemon,
said you said it was the cards played in decks, many decks is so that's like the deck it's played in is played a lot. Like say uh Dragapult EX is played a lot. Or like
well,
or are you
Dragapult
saying in a
EX is played some. It's played a couple decks, but not a ton of decks, right?
yeah, but those
When you
decks are
said,
played a bunch as well.
I mean deck diversity more so. Sorry, so that's a good point, right?
Okay.
So more different decks, right? Like Gardevoir EX is played in a lot of quote is played a lot, but it's really only in one deck,
Yeah.
right? Gardevoir EX, but there's a lot of it. It's very good. So it'll be an interesting argument when we get there, right? Whereas Manaphy is just in a lot of different decks. So I think diversity, flexibility to me is a big thing. Now, some cards that you put on your lists are very flexible that I didn't include, and so I wasn't always consistent. These criteria are they conflict with each other, I think, a lot, and how to, it's not easy to come up with a rational judgment, is what I'll say. I was also looking at kind of competitive play. Either I looked at some IRL stuff too, more than you did initially, and even the limitless data is online tournaments, which you got. But again, that's within a competitive environment, so it's different than playing on the ladder. I don't really do competitive. I do on the ladder, and a lot of decks that need Manaphy to compete in, I'll just cut it from my ladder deck and just say, hey, I'll scoop to it if they can hit my bench, because most decks can't do that still.
Yeah, but
Um,
and that's what also something I'm saying like most decks don't hit the bench. Or bench with that Manaphy can block, right? Dragapult EX is on your list here. Manaphy doesn't stop it. Stops
right.
damage done to bench Pokemon. Dragapult EX stop it places damage counters. It's a little different.
hmm
And you're gonna make a video on that soon, right? Or have you made it already?
I've made the video. No, I haven't made that video yet. So no, but I'll be talking damage versus damage counters, doing damage versus placing damage counters at some point. And yeah, and obviously for Dragapult, we have Rabska is the only one really. I don't know. Maybe there's something else.
Well,
That's the
there's
main
Mist
way to
Energy as
stop it.
well.
That's true, Mist Energy, but that's not a Pokemon. So
Yeah,
that's.
that's different.
But yes, Mist Energy, which is important for my Dojo decks now because of that dreaded Dragapult.
Yep, yeah.
Um,
And so I think Radiant Greninja, a few points to say about this. It is
yeah.
very good. It was on my list, but it is
hmm
better than all the other cards. But it's supposed to be because it's a special mechanic. So like the mechanic means it's like saying Master Ball. Master Ball is better than Ultra Ball, right? It's just directly better
hmm
essentially. But Ultra Ball's really it's a better card, right? Because um so there's like it's a bad thing being an ace spec. So you get some benefit, but then it's like a downside. But
hmm
Radiant Grinch is a Radiant, so now
Yes.
it's held to a higher standard, and so that's why it's not at the top of the list. It is arguably the best card in the game, uh, just based on like what it does, but it is a Radiant, so
hmm
that's like a tax to it in my mind.
No, and I would agree that that is a negative. And I do downgrade it some for that. I do think the attack's pretty good though too,
It
right?
is,
For
it
not
is.
all decks can do it, but the decks that can, it's a very good attack in Lost Zone decks, in Dax Caliber decks, and such. So so that's a big plus. It's a great engine card. Um, probably the best just one card engine in the game, maybe. Um,
Maybe there's a few others we need to talk about. So,
okay.
but I,
Now Manaphy, I think that one's more. I may have that too high. When I did put my to get my just initial thoughts down of top cards, Manaphy was probably like the sixth card or something that came to my mind when just writing cards down randomly. So I did think highly of Manaphy coming into this.
yeah, I mean, Manphy's like solid. It sees a lot of play. I feel like it sees more play than it needs, and it doesn't do anything. Like it just doesn't do anything, which it makes it seem less appealing in my mind.
No, well, it's there because you just look, you just grinded your way to Arceus within like 5 hours of ladder resetting. You played Snorlax. It's there so that Snorlax players like you win games. That's why
Yeah,
Manaphy's in decks, right?
I know. No, yeah, Manaphy is like okay. I don't know. Maybe I just don't play the decks that it counters, but I don't think it's. I mean, I don't think it's bad. It was pretty close to my list, but it's
Okay.
really underwhelming compared to the other cards in this list. But then I have a few other questions. One, Iron Bundle, the third water Pokemon. No, wait, what? Fourth water Pokemon on your list. You don't play Iron Bundle, do you?
I really don't. That one was not. That one's a surprise. That was one of the two surprises on the list that I wasn't
But
thinking of.
it's
But
your
when looking
list.
at but looking at the data, when I was just just kind of making up. First, you just sit down. I just sat down with a piece of paper and wrote down a dozen cards or 15 cards, and then I started looking at IRL tournaments. That's kind of what I did is looking at IRL tournaments first because it's kind of easy to find the data on there. The online tournament stuff, you actually have access to like the database,
Yeah, which you can
which
get.
go
You can just like
search.
apply, and then you can get into that. But
Yes,
so
you
it's
have
not
to.
like what were you saying?
It's not the data that's just available on the Limitless website. You look, it's
Well, it is
you
the
ask.
data, but you can sort through it. It allows you to like create programs to sort
Mhm.
through it faster.
You
But
can
the data,
export the data,
yeah,
which look, it's nothing super special. You just ask them for that permission, and they gave it to you. So it's
yeah,
not, and that's what it is. But it just without that, you can't just look at the website and sort and get the exact data that you have though.
yeah,
That's all I want to say.
yeah,
The IRL stuff is kind of you can click on a card when you click on the cards in Limitless, then you can look at the deck that's played, but you can only do that for IRL play, not for online play,
yeah.
which is why I looked at IRL play first. So it was really important in a lot of IRL decks. Why do I have it? Look, it wasn't on my list. It's got the hyper below ability. If it's on the bench, you can have your opponent switch out their active when they're bench, right? And then it gets discarded, the Iron Bundle,
Yeah.
right?
And it is search. It is a
And
future Pokemon, so it's searchable with Techno Radar, which which is nice, and it
right,
has an attack that is usable. It doesn't really matter too much, but it's not like that bad. It's underwhelming, but usable in Lost Zone and Max Caliber. So
right. It's in a number of decks. It's played a surprising amount of times, even in your data for the online tournaments. It's played a lot more than I ever expected. It's basically a one of when you see how many decks it has versus how many copies are on average. It's basically one per deck that plays it. But it's in Lost Zone a lot. It's in which I didn't wasn't it's in Maridon, which is becoming more of a deck again.
yeah,
You
I
didn't
don't think
mention
Rhino's very good. I think it's kind of bad, but
it's seeing play though. It's coming back. I don't it's out there. It's a legit deck. I think.
yeah, I
Ha-
played as you said, I grind to the ladder. I grind the ladder because the ladder reset yesterday at the time of recording. Was it
Yep.
yesterday?
Yes, it was. Yep,
Okay.
it was yesterday.
Um, and so I wanted to grind to Arceus, and I did, and it was shockingly easy. In the past, I did done it, and it was like super annoying and like infuriating, but this time was really easy. Well, we'll talk about that. But I guess I got a little secret, which was play Snorlax. But Miraidon, every time I saw Miraidon, and even before, I'm like, okay, I'm really happy I'm not against like Raging Bolt now, because Raging Bolt could knock me out. But Miraidon, this was with any like Miraidon just, I don't think it's that good. But anyway, Miraidon's not on either of our list. You got Iron Hands on your list. Wait, do I have it on my list? I um, I do near the bottom. But um,
Yeah.
and then
Look, I mean, Iron Bundle. It's also in Chen Pao, Future Hands. It's in 21% of the decks, which is really surprising to me.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
let me just say the other card that I wasn't thinking would be on my list that surprised me is Fluttermane. which I don't think you have on yours either, correct?
No, why is Fluttermane on your list? I'm confused about that one.
Okay, which is and again that Fluttermane, so Fluttermane, which it has it's an ancient Pokemon, so it's obviously an ancient box, but it's got an ability that gives it versatility that goes in more decks than I thought.
Yeah, which shuts
Right?
down
Because
your
the
opponent's active's ability, which is
abilities,
nice. And then you can attack. You have an attack for colorless, which is 90 for 3 colorless, and then 2 damage has on your opponent's bench in any way you like. So it's good again. It's good against Lost Zone.
right?
It's played in Gardevoir,
Hmm.
and then it's played in Ancient Box. But like, it's not the main focus in any of those decks. It's not like bad, but it's
No.
so far behind the main attacks in those decks. So why is it on your list?
Well, first, isn't 22% of the decks that were played. That's to me shocking. I got to say, first off.
That
Okay.
is.
Second, the attack is pretty good. It's you mentioned Gardevoir, which it's psychic, so that's a natural, right? It's in ancient box decks because that's a natural there. But then it's also played pretty commonly in Raging Bolt decks. That's a bit of a surprise. And it's played a
Oh
lot
yeah.
in Lugia decks. And it's played in Lugia decks.
Oh yeah. It's played in League. Okay.
So it's pretty versatile, and then also in terms of plays per deck, it's because particularly because the ancient box plays 4 copies, the number of copies played is pretty high too. So it's
Yeah.
number of decks, it's pretty good, and number of copies played in decks is also pretty good. So it's very solid in both those cheap things. And like I said, it's got versatility, more versatility than I expected as well.
Yeah, but it's not that good. Like I mean, it's okay, but it's not like it's the main attacker in Gardevoir. It's just like a tech option, but it's not the strongest tech option. I don't know. Okay, we'll talk about that later. So any comments you have on my list? Or actually, no, I'll say a few things about my list real
Yeah.
quick. So I have a lot of stage twos. I had Charizard EX, Pidgeot
Yes.
EX, Gardevoir EX, and Dragapult EX, and they're all stage two EXs. You said so. You said that you don't think Gardevoir EX should be on this list.
I don't. Now, I think in terms of plays and all, it's probably sees a decent amount of plays
Yes.
out there. And obviously Gardevoir is a very good deck.
Yes.
Well, the last major tournament was NEIC as a time recording.
Yes.
Gardevoir,
IRL,
while it
IRL
didn't
tournament.
IRL, sorry, and it dominated. It didn't win, but decks 2 through 7, right, were all Gardevoir, and there were a lot of others. So it was a phenomenal performance by Gardevoir. So Gardevoir's seeing just a big uptick in play right now. I gotta assume online too.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but let me take a look at my Gardevoir thing. So because I was it was on my list to look at. First, the amount of decks it's played in isn't that high.
Well, yeah, but
Um,
it's fine. But it's
because it's
that's
one
fine.
deck. So
But that's
the
like saying
issue with
attackers aren't
Gardevoir,
good, which isn't true,
look,
obviously.
well, I like versatility. Gardevoir has like zero versatility to me. It's played in one deck. That's Gardevoir, and that's
Well,
it.
yeah, but
And,
that's fine.
and it's a very good deck, and it has some flexibility because it's a bit of a box style deck with some different attacking options. But to me, it's a one deck card, so it just doesn't make the list. Some of the other stage twos, Charizard, Dragapult, they're more stronger considerations because they can go in multiple things. Gardevoir
But
is
Charizard's
just
only on the list because it's you can break up Charizard into different decks, right? Like,
well, Charizard I didn't make put on my list. I did put
oh, okay. Well,
Dragapult,
but
right?
Dragapult's really in one deck. It's in Regidrago. It is important for
It's
Regidrago, but it's not like, um, I know. I mean, Gardevoir's better than Dragapult. It's just, I think,
well, maybe. I mean,
Gardevoir is so good. It literally accelerates all your energy. Um, And this is another thing. It evolves from it
mhm,
has a great evolution line, which helps it. Um, so
yes.
Curlia,
Well,
really good. That was
I mean,
close to making it, but
Curly almost made my list at one point. I decided not because again, it really is just in one deck. There was a time in the past when I would have put Curly on the list when there were non-Gardevoir decks using the Curly engine, but the Curly engine's just really fallen off, right? Almost
yeah.
nobody else plays it.
But that's like
So,
saying Mew VMAX is bad because Mew VMAX is like I don't know, like right? You wouldn't say Mew VMAX is a bad. Like, oh, well, obviously now it's just not in standard, but when it was in standard, it
no, I
was
get it.
really good. But it was only played in its one deck, obviously, because it's its own deck. But it wasn't like
Yeah.
that would be good, right? Like, so I feel like that doesn't make
Yeah,
like you need to be able to include some Pokemon that are only played in one deck, and like,
maybe.
um,
Um, I look. I just it's very look. we'll have to consider it later. It's super narrow. You can't argue with that
Well, I don't know.
point.
What do you mean super? It's not like it's only. It's
It's
not like
played on
it's.
one deck type. That's
Well,
it.
yes, but
Gardevoir
that's
EX.
true with
That's it.
most cards and most good attackers. So your list doesn't have any super good
My
attackers. I mean, has Dragon Balls pretty good, and Iron
it
Hands is good, but it's a
it
little
has
different.
it has tech attackers. My list. It might. You're right. Mine is a more support focused list, and that's something we got to wrestle with. I don't really like Gardevoir on the list though. I think look, you put Charizard one. I left Charizard off. What can we move? Let's move to Charizard because we'll have to fight about Gardevoir. I think we just disagree on it.
Yeah, I don't think it has to make it, but I think it's anyway. Charizard. So why don't you think? Wait, so why isn't Charizard on your list? Or is it just
Charizard's
because
very
it's only in
good.
one deck?
It's
It's like
yeah.
super
Look,
good.
it
It's
was
raw
close.
stats, best raw stats attacker in the game, arguably, or Giratina V-Star. Those are both two really good raw stats attackers. Yeah, so
So
that's why they're on the
okay.
list.
So here's the issue with. I'm going to talk about the stats for a minute, if that's okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
won't get the numbers, but Dragon Ball's played in 16% of the decks. Charizard's played in 10% of the decks. So that's a meaningful difference. Okay. That's why
Okay.
Dragapult was above. I think it's meaningful. And then in terms of copies, Dragapult has a lot more copies in the decks also, as well as over Charizard.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
0.35 copies versus 0.25 copies. So therefore, that's why I moved up Dragapult, although personally I like Charizard better. So
But this is
I
your personal list.
well, I'm not. No, it's not my top. It's not my top 10 list. It's the top 10 cards to play in general. So it's most of these cards are played by most of the time decks are being played by not me. I'll be
Yeah,
honest about
yeah.
that. So therefore, it's what people in general should be playing. That's how I
Yeah.
approached it.
Okay.
You can argue with that.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's what we're aiming for.
Now,
So,
Charizard is actually more universal than Dragapult. Now, part of it is look, Dragapult's really strong right now.
yeah.
It's new and it's the hot thing. Charizard's fallen off probably more than it should, but look, Charizard's in Charizard. It's in Dragapult decks. There's a Dragapult build, and control decks will play Charizard too.
Yeah, but it's
So
mostly just in Charizard. That's kind of weird. It gets into territory of like, are those decks like fully different? But I mean, it's just because
yeah,
it's only good. It's arguably, it's probably not the best deck. It probably shouldn't be one, but I think Charizard's a really good Pokemon.
well, see, I think Charizard because the Infernal Rain ability with the energy acceleration, it is flexible. You know, I mean, I have built Charizard box decks because you can pair
But
it with
those
any
aren't
colorless
very
attackers
good.
too.
They're like
Uh,
just
no, I get it,
you
but look,
shouldn't give that like say
well,
that that
it's
means
in
it's
the
better
line
than
of the control.
Gardevoir.
It's in the line of the control decks. You know, there are very
Yeah,
good control players that play control
you
decks
can play
with
Gardevoir
Charizard.
EX
Partly
control.
you can, but Charizard, besides attacking itself, can power up other attackers too.
Yeah,
That's part of its thing. Whereas Gardevoir only powers up Psychic. Charizard can power up colorless attackers too, which is a plus.
yeah. I mean, you can do shenanigans. You can Thornton or whatever. But anyway, so Charizard EX, whatever. So now let's talk about the official. Is there anything else we need to talk about with these lists?
Um, no. Well, look, you put Snorlax on the list. Do you
Yeah,
want to
let's.
talk about that now or
No,
later?
no, wait, we're saving that for later. We're saving that for later.
Okay.
So we got the most. So I have two most played categories. This is the data from the online tournaments. It's pretty similar to the in-person tournaments and pretty similar to the latter. So we have two categories that we have unweighted and weighted. Unweighted
Hmm.
means that it doesn't matter how many copies you play. So obviously that would give an edge to Pokemon that are played in lower counts but in wider decks like Radiant Greninja. And
Yep.
then there's the most played by if they're weighted. So that means if a card's played in as like a four, then that's going to be like pushed more up. So Pokemon like Comfy, right? Comfy is played as a four most of the time, pretty much all the time. So
Right. It's not played in that many decks. Well, I mean, there's a decent amount of Lost Zone decks, but it's in Lost Zone decks, but you toss four of it, so it boosts it up for the weighted number a lot. Then.
yep. So let's talk about the unweighted first. And so I'm just going to
Yep.
run down the list. Number one, Radiant Greninja. Number two, Manaphy. Number three, Blood Moon Ursaluna EX. Number four, Luminion V. Number five, Iron Hands EX. Number six, Fluttermane. Number seven, Iron Bundle. Number eight, Monkey Dory. Number nine, Rotom V. And number 10, Mew EX. That list looks very similar to your list. I'm just going to
It
say
does.
that.
Look, that's the most important criteria to me. It
Okay.
is.
And then,
Uh,
sorry, do you have something else to add?
no, no. So I think those are very good Pokemon on that list.
Yeah, well, they're all good Pokemon though. So then we have
Every Pokemon they've ever printed is a good Pokemon, then,
it's
right?
true. I mean, I'm a Pokemon fan. It's all good. No, so they are all good Pokemon though.
Yes, they are.
So then we have the weighted category, and here. Oh, and
Hmm.
by the way, I could probably release this data. I mean, I need to like sift through it and some stuff. But so then we have the most played by weight, or with weighted. So we have number one is Curlia. Number two is Tealmash
Yeah.
Ogerpon EX. Number three is Comfy. Number four is Radiant Greninja, which obviously only a one of, has to be a one of. Number five is
Hmm.
Manaphy. Number six is Raging Bolt EX. Number seven is Dragapult EX. Number eight is Fluttermane. Number nine is Iron Hands EX. And number 10 is Monkey Dory. So we see Monkey Dory making its way into both lists near the tail end, but still on both lists, and that hasn't been on either of our lists. We have
Right.
Raging Bolt EX, we have Comfy, we have um, Mew EX as well, and
Hmm.
yeah.
So look, let me just say a couple things. Monkey Dory to me was my 11th place card.
Okay.
I like Monkey Dory a lot. If you follow me with the decks I play, it's a lot of fun. It's largely IRL though. It's a Gardevoir competitively. I think it's a Gardevoir deck card.
It's is it mostly good, but it's like
Pretty
it's
strong.
in Blissey. Blissey's
It's
like
in
a
a few things.
like an all right deck. I think it's like all right. And
Yeah.
Monkey Dory is really like comments in that, and then oh, I played against a Charizard EX deck with Monkey Dory. It didn't go so well for them. It was kind of weird. I was like, why are they playing
Hmm.
Darkness Energy in their Charizard deck? Um, it was very strange. But yeah, it can be played in a number of decks as well. Also,
It
it's
can
glitched in
be.
Pokemon TCG Live, or I think it was.
Oh, the retreating, right, was the
Yeah,
issue, I think, with the energy selection. Yeah. Look, I like it. That almost made my list. I don't. Mew is like an honorable mention to me. Mew EX, because I was thinking early when I first made my list. Mew EX was there on my initial thoughts. And it's kind of just off the top 10 to me. And then the barrel didn't make the list. I don't think that was on the cards the top cards played. But that's a very strong card too
yeah.
to me.
Barrel's
But
like good. I don't like it. Quite frankly, I just don't think it's certainly not a bad card, but it wasn't
mhm.
that close to making it. One card that was really high on the weighted list was Comfy. I feel like Comfy though isn't
Yeah,
that good. I mean, it's not bad. It's good, but it's not like as good as these other Pokemon because it doesn't do much in its own right. Like its drawing power isn't that good. Getting cards in the Lost Zone, I guess it is the main way to do it, but like the good
yeah,
cards are like Mirage Gate, Pulse Experiment's just a very solid card, and then the attackers are the good cards. So I think like Comfy's not the
right.
card.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, Comfy's obviously as important to that as Curly is to Gardevoir, right? They're both kind of similar in terms of how often they appear in decks on the weighted numbers, I
Yeah.
think.
Uh-huh.
But again, yeah, Comfy was too narrow to me, so I didn't make my list. I kind of when I took a look at stuff, I kind of crossed off that it was just too narrow.
But isn't
It's
it in
Lost
like a
Zone.
lot of decks?
There's a well, well, part of it is probably how I looked at the thing. I looked at IRL play first, so IRL play groups things differently too.
Yeah, but there's
In which
like three different. It would be in Giratina. It would be in uh. Well, actually, I think they
well,
group things. I don't know. I think that's in a bunch of decks still.
basically, I think it was just in. It's basic. There's not a lot of Giratina, Lost Tina, no. Basically, what they do for IRL events, the Lost Zone decks are all lumped together.
Well, there's
There was
two
one
different. Did you
category.
check the box? There's a box that
I didn't
says.
check the look. I didn't want to check the box. I
Well, I
actually
feel like you
prefer. I
like
wish I could
change the
look.
data
I
then.
don't. Well, no, the data can be sorted either way. Look, Limitless
Yeah,
classifies IRL and online differently. You know that.
I
They're
do. I
not
do. It
exactly the
makes
same.
it's a
So,
bit of a mess at times.
and the way you can sort it and deal with it is different. The other source, which I don't think either of us looked at, which would have been good for this, is Trainer Hill.
Well, Trainer Hill's kind
Um,
of like what I did. It's Trainer
it
Hill
is,
is looking
but
at the same data set as well, actually, does it? I don't know exactly what it does. I think it's the same data set that I looked at, essentially. I think it's online stuff.
I mean that's useful too. You could use that with this discussion too. But anyway, so What we're saying. So yeah, I mean, I agree that Comfy doesn't make it. I think looking at the at what you said though, the difference between the weighted and the unweighted, you didn't mention the numbers, but like I said, Rain Greninja, and Manaphy are there's a big gap between what falls next after that. The other thing that's impressive is Radiant Greninja, only one of in a deck by definition. Manaphy, when you look at the numbers between the weighted and unweighted, it's essentially a one of in the decks.
Yeah.
The number is the same, and it's near the top for the weighted. And you have to go all the way down a lot of places before you get anything else that doesn't see multiple copies played that's high up on that list. So they're just played a lot. Those two cards, I will say.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but
But so do you want to start
really.
picking what the 10 are, and then we can start ranking them?
Well, no, because now we need to go to because really what a good card wins, right? A good card wins.
What are going to head-to-head matchups now?
No, well, no, because you agree a card is good based on how much it wins, kind of. So
Oh, winner. Oh, you have more data. Yes,
I do
sorry.
have more
So
data.
so tell me what this last piece of data is.
This last list is cards with the highest win rate. I did lop off, so it needs to have played at least 100 matches. It says games on my spreadsheet here. It's actually matches, so a best of three won't count. It's around 200 cards, which is actually not that many. It chops
Okay.
off. What's it chop off here? I think it chops off between Dodrio. Like Dodrio makes the list.
Okay.
And like as soon as
He was
Arceus
my
start,
boy, but
yeah, misses.
he's not making the top 10.
No, and most of these aren't very the ones that didn't make it weren't very good. There's a few weird outliers. The weirdest of them being Wigglytuff EX played in one deck, which the person played 0 games. I don't really know what was going on there, how they managed to not play any games. I guess
Yeah.
they like didn't like just didn't show up or whatever.
Or they
Um,
got to buy the first round, I guess, right?
maybe I'm not really sure what happened to be honest, but anyways, so looking at
See, but
this.
the Wigglytuff doesn't make sense because that was played in control
No,
decks,
but that
right?
was like last format more, and it's not even played that much. I think,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
But anyway, so we got a top 10. I have removed pre-evolutions. Oh, I removed pre-evolutions from the other list. I didn't say that. There was Ralts on the other list.
Yes.
And Dreepy, I
Hmm.
think, as well. So those were kind. They're not like maybe they're like fine. They're just pre-evolutions. They don't really matter. For like good cards.
I mean, Curlia does, right? And if
Curly it
it
does.
was
Yeah, yeah,
the Dracloak, right? That because of its ability could, if it was played enough, that could potentially make have
yeah.
made the list from my perspective.
Hmm. So I'm gonna count this one down from 10 to 1, right? I think this is a pretty interesting list here. So
Okay.
number 10, we got Spiritomb. Spiritomb from what's it? Paldea Evolved.
Hmm.
Spiritomb has its ability here, and it says Pokemon V.
Yeah. Fettered in Misfortune is the name.
Yep, and basic Pokemon V and play have no abilities. Interesting counter card. And by the way, I
Yes.
had to the win rate. Spiritomb is that's not the win rate. 52% win rate. So that's not like that high. 52.3. Um,
Okay.
And then, oh, by the way, there's one other Pokemon above 52. That's Screamtail. Screamtail's from Temporal Forces. Yeah, not the Gardevoir one. The other Screamtail. So that's a little weird. And the highest win rate is 62, but that's really niche. But the highest on this list that's not a Prevolution is
Hmm.
60% win rate. So
Okay.
then we have Giratina V-Star, making it the ninth best card and the most highest win rate in the game. Which is really good, good card. Not on your list.
That's No, and we'll have to talk about that. Okay, so Giratina V. Yeah, no, I mean that's an impressive stat. I give credit towards Giratina V Star for that.
And then number 8 here is Chiyu EX, a mill card. Well, it does a few things, but it's a mill card. It discards 2 cards from the top of your opponent's deck for 1 fire energy, and it has a second attack and stuff. But yep, classic, great
Yeah,
card.
for control, which is going to become, I think, a theme we're going to see.
Yeah, because number 7 here we got Sandshrew. That one is a pre-evolution, but it's played for what it is. Sandshrew, Sand Screen ability. Trainer cards in your opponent's discard pile can't be put into their deck by an effect of your opponent's item or supporter cards, with a win rate of 53% and played in 1,200 games here. So that's a bunch. Played by a few hundred people there. And then we
Let me
have
just say, the Sandshrews a weird one because I've played it a little bit, grab net decking, and it's weird of when you should use it, not because its abilities odd when it what it impacts and what it doesn't.
Yeah, yeah, it stops you're looking at Palpad, Silene, sometimes so that your
Right.
opponent can still recover energy in Pokemon. Team Yell's
Right.
Cheer.
Rod.
No, what?
Yeah, rod that goes into your deck, right? It
But
stops going from into your deck,
no, but
right?
it stops trainer cards from
Oh, not
being
items.
recovered.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's where I
No,
get
no, well,
yeah.
what?
So wait, well, rod puts it from oh, items are supported. Okay, yeah, it doesn't stop. And yeah, sorry, it doesn't stop Pokemon or energies.
Yeah, it's only stops trainers being recovered. Um, the Pokestop will not be stopped by this. It doesn't stop stadiums. And then it will
Yeah,
stop. You're looking at Palpad, Team Yell's Cheer, Silene sometimes, usually, and stuff like that. I'm sure there's some things I'm forgetting, but this is interesting. It's a
yeah,
tech for either control mirrors or against cards that are control counters. It's a counter. So, um,
yeah.
counter. I don't know.
And it's only used by some people, and those that are playing it are those that know what they're doing with it, probably, which is why the win rate's higher.
Yeah, just like this card, your favorite card in the game. This isn't your favorite. What's really
Okay,
you like it? It's Gouging Fire EX.
I do like that. I do like it, and I would not put it on any top list. So how come this didn't make your top 10 then?
Well, I don't know. I don't like it. You like it. You're the one who likes it. So,
It does look. It does 260 on a basic Pokemon that potentially you can power up in one turn. So that's tremendous,
yep,
right? And then you can attach a tool and you're one-shotting whatever you want, basically. Well, not Charizard EX, but you can one-shot it. You can get to 280 anyway. That's the number that you can get to that number.
yep. And then we got
Okay.
Weirder V as the next Pokemon. Weirder V. It's played in Lugia V Star. Lugia V Star,
Yep.
very good deck right now. Pretty good there. And then we have
Well, Weird Deer's played in a little bit of other things too. Well, those weird energy acceleration decks that are out there, right? There's some different ones.
I guess I'm gonna take a quick look. So you can play in Dialga, some played in Gardevoir, and that's it. Oh yes, Arceus, but that was a long time ago. So
Okay.
yep, it's mostly Lugia. And then we have what is it? Number four? Is that where we're at? Number four,
I don't
iconic
know.
card, Drapion V.
And you sure you didn't get the format wrong?
I know,
Because
no, there
Mew's
is
not
no
around.
Mew VMAX on this list. Drapion V, it is played in Lugia. I think it's accounted to Gardevoir. I don't know. I've never seen anyone play Drapion V post rotation, but apparently it's still good. It's even better. Maybe you could put in, yeah, I guess Lugia.
Right, because the wild style ability, the attack cost is four colors. It's one colorless less for each single rapid or fusion strike Pokemon to play, but they're all gone. So you're paying 4 energy for it. So yeah.
But and it's I was like, is it played by like only a few people? Because the top card in this list, it is a pre-release,
Yeah.
but it's only played by 24 people. But no, this has been played. It's been played in 400 games, played by just under 100 people. So it's
Okay.
played or 100 played in 100 tournaments. So it could be the same person, but it's not the same person playing in 90 tournaments. So it does see play. Then we got number three. The number three best card in the game is Hawlucha.
Hmm.
Hawlucha here from Scotland Violet, the one played in uh, a number of decks. It's played in
What's using? Because I've used it a little bit, and honestly, even decks that kind of wanted the damage on it, like the what was the fighting ability lock one, especially
Ting
when it first
EX.
Tinglu, like when because that came out at first, and then there were a lot of V's around, and you shut those down. It had some value, but even then, it was kind of
Yeah.
underwhelming to me.
Well, now it's really good with Dragapult. It allows you to like knock out 70 HP Pokemon. So that's
Ah,
really
okay,
nice. And that's I think the main
yep,
use. You could put it in like Lost Zone. I've seen in that. You could put it in Tinglu as well, but I don't think that was here. And
okay.
then number two, this is a card that's really good, and that's Snorlax. At a
Everybody's
54%,
favorite,
yeah, or 55% win rate.
the block Snorlax, right? Not the
Yes.
one, not the unfazed fat one.
No. The block still acts if it's in the active. Your opponent's active can't retreat. And then we got the number one best card, which is Milotic, of course. Milotic from Twilight Master Grade. I misspelled it. It's that good. Oh wait, how do I spell this?
Wait, which Milotic is this one? Let me just double check.
Oh, I don't own it. Never mind. There we go. I got it. I was like, where is this card? Milotic with Mentally Calm. I don't own. I was like, why isn't it showing up? I guess I'll craft one.
Okay.
Um, its ability, Mentally Calm. Your opponent can't play your opponent's Pokemon in play, and all cards attached can't be put into your opponent's hand. And this one isn't played as much. Snorlax is played a lot. It's not played the
Hmm.
most, but it's played a bunch. Milotic is not played that much. It was only played by like 20 people or so, maybe a little less.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
but its win rate's 60%. Like yeah, it's good. It's there as a counter to scoop up cards, Professor Cher's scenario,
Yeah.
and maybe Penny. And it's good, I guess. I didn't play it. I haven't played it, but I mean, I don't own it, but now I own it. But the number one
I
card,
might have played it. I own 4 copies. Well, I own two of two different of the basic and two of the Rev Hollows. I might have I don't know if just pulled it or not. Obviously, control. A lot of it is your opponent scooping up. Also, usually they get something down that they don't want, or you get something down, and then Professor Turo's scenario it out of play, right? So this obviously can win games.
Mhm.
I can see its
Yeah,
value.
I will say with the win rate, I did take out ties. However, in regular play, there aren't ties.
Yeah,
And in fact, regular play, those ties would probably actually be wins for Snorlax because that means that they're in a position where the game is kind of at
it's just it's dragging on.
yeah, dragging on. Your opponent can't do anything though, and your deck is infinite, so those would be wins in regular play. So if anything, the win rate's actually underestimated here for control. Control is still really good. And then it's actually not the number one card. The number one card is actually Feebas from Silver Tempest. So yeah.
And how was that? Just played a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's yeah. I've played a few less times than the Milotic. Apparently, there's some other Milotic that's not the right one. So I play Feebas from Silver Tempest, with a 62% win rate or 62.6% win rate. The best card in the game is Feebas from Silver Tempest.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that. I'll have to. I do have 4 copies. I don't think. What does it evolve into?
Into Milotic, the one
Other
we were
one?
just talking about.
Oh, my Lodic. Okay, sorry. So
Yeah.
I do have a full play set of that.
I think
So
if I
okay.
sort by I want to take a quick look at all the cards to see if there's anything with a super high win rate. I think there's a few with some like higher win rates, which I just want to pull up, but they're played like essentially not at all. Like my Ludix actually played some. Some of you think I've never seen this card. I mean, I've never seen it. I've never seen it on ladder. I don't think, but so the highest win rate, well,
Yeah.
when sorting, the highest win rate's Wigglytuff with a win rate of I don't know. It's 0 wins and 0 losses. Oh, maybe it just
Okay.
had a tie. Maybe it was one game and the game was a tie. That could be it. But then the highest win rate is there's a bunch with 66% win rate with Flittle from Scarlet and Violet number 102, which is not the main
Okay.
Flittle. So
I,
yeah, that's
all
fine.
right. Well, we need to get back onto our topic here because we got some work to figure out a top 10, right? The definitive top 10, which is what we'll
Yeah.
produce at the end, right?
Mhm.
So look, I think based on the win rates, it's super important. It shows unfortunately control is much too good.
Yeah, and
Look,
so
control's
now I want to
fine.
talk about Snorlax because this is as I
Okay.
said, or as you said earlier, I grinded to like Arceus in maybe like 5 hours or so, from
Yeah.
essentially the bottom of Master Ball, or was it Master League? And I did it, and usually
Yeah.
I don't do that. I won maybe probably somewhere between 80 and 90% of my games. I think I lost less than five on my way to Arceus, and I'm like not that good. I'm like okay, and certainly, and
Yeah.
so I played Snorlax. Snorlax isn't that it's like free or anything. It's not like every game was a free game. I got I think
No.
like instant concedes, and then a couple of games where my opponent well, it was one game my opponent started slow playing, but I think they're actually in the advantageous position. But then I think they timed out. I don't remember. It was weird. It was a very strange game. And then I had one game where I think my opponent could have won and they ended up conceding, but most of the time they were games that were like full games, um,
Okay.
where they like quit if they were gonna deck out eventually. So
Okay.
so yeah, I mean it worked really well. I won almost all my games, and
Hmm.
I was like focused somewhat, but I was working on some stuff in the background as well. So yeah, it was really good, and like I didn't get tilted. I'm sure my opponents did, but sometimes when I'm just
Yes.
because in the past I've tried to like grind to Arceus quickly. It usually takes me like a week or two from master, and this is with the newer ladder, which is easier to get up to Arceus. Before it was like almost
Mhm.
impossible. Now you can literally just win half your games and you'll get there. That was technically true before with like variants, like could technically push you over the edge and win streak stuff. But anyway, now yeah, you just win half your games, you'll eventually get there. But yeah, I got there really quickly, which is like, and it like couldn't have just been like a fluke. Like as I won. How many games is it? Do you know?
I think let's see. You need to get I think 600 points, so you need at least you need 20 wins. I think without a loss if you're at the bottom of what is it Master League. Get to Arceus.
Okay, so I went and I played. I think I played one game with my other control deck. I will say Snorlax is a not super hard deck to play compared to like Pidgeot control, which is partially why I have Pidgeot EX on this list. So
Mhm.
am experienced with Pidgeot control, which also is I think a less toxic deck. Snorlax is really not fun to play against. Um,
Yeah.
that's not like my opponents were like throwing the game or anything. They were playing decently well, but um, I'll say the best card in the game is actually accompanying flute. So, well, okay, my Lodic and picnic basket's technically the best card in the game, but like, who's out here playing picnic
Uh,
basket? So accompanying flute, highest, most best card in the game, played over 1,000 times. So Snorlax played over 1,000. My Lodic's not.
yeah.
But accompanying flute, it's a really good Snorlax card. Or it's yeah, mostly just for Snorlax, and yeah, so I was just able to, I played, I think I played generally pretty well. I certainly made mistakes, and
Hmm.
it's certainly not perfect or anything like that, but um, I was able to just play at like my normal level, and I just cruised through the ladder.
Yeah, I mean, now look, I don't have an issue with control. I don't like the fact that Snorlax is so easy to play and it's so strong. I just think I don't like. I think Pokemon's printed too many things or the wrong set of things at this point to make this deck and that card in particular. I probably should have printed Snorlax, but
Yeah, it's
um,
not good.
because we both we'll both play Snorlax for sure, and we both certainly respect control. Snorlax is a little, it shouldn't be.
Yeah, I don't play Snorlax that much. You make lots of videos on, well, I've made videos
I
on
do.
Snorlax, but I usually don't play it. I probably won't play it again this month. Or wait, when's the? I thought the ladder resets in the
Yeah, I think it's
beginning of the
once a
month,
month.
but it's not the
It
beginning of the
used to,
month.
but now I think because they also try to kind of sync it up with the battle pass resets, so it's kind of it gets weird. Sometimes it's not consistent. I think it was like the first of the month for a while, and they shifted it. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So I think we have 4 weeks now. Because one of the things you could put together a Snorlax deck, hand it to a pretty inexperienced player, and they will win a lot of games with it. And that's what I don't like about Snorlax.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
probably
I feel like
it's the easiest deck you can give someone that's okay but not great and produce the highest win rate. I think.
maybe it's so different than a right. Well, what do you mean? Okay, like I guess, but you need to understand the strategy of the deck. Like it's hard to understand the
Some
strategy when just looking at it if you're like a truly new player. And you also need to
you're
know what your opponent has.
no,
What
you're correct, but you can just sit down with Snorlax and just figure out I'm going to chuck out this item and this supporter to the best of my ability, and you're going to hit enough things that you're unfortunately you're going to win a decent amount of games.
maybe
I will,
I think it has like
but
a slightly higher skill, like pure skill floor than other decks. Like you
maybe
could play Charizard EX. Or, I don't know. It's not even that's not the easiest deck in the game. Um,
look.
like
I'm not
there are
saying it's a
easier
skill
decks.
list gate card at all, and certainly to play any deck well is not easy. Even the simplest deck, whatever that
Oh,
we could decide it
Dialga V
is.
Star is pretty easy. I don't like Dialga
Well,
V Star.
it's in if it sets up right, it's not
Well, even if it
consistent. Because
doesn't
I
set
like
up, it's even
Dialga,
easier because you just lose.
just lose. I guess. I no, it's not. It's you're wrong. But there's still look. I like Dialga. You don't like it that much, it appears.
No, I
But
don't
like
like
when
Dialga
to
V
use
Star.
the Star Cronus attack and when not is not always simple,
No,
right? There's
but
times
usually you
you can
just use
take
it
it
when
and
you get
you.
it, because
But if you can not do a one shot with it, when do you do it or not? Because you find yourself in those spots
that's
too. Or if
true.
I'm
But
only
if you
gonna
only have one decision to make during the game this hard, that's not that many.
you make a little more than that. And
You
look,
do, you definitely do.
and it does give you the opportunity. You can memorize in order all the bottom of your deck as you play your Matangs, right? Because it gives you probably more deck knowledge than any other deck in the game potentially, right?
Yeah,
And that's high
perfect
level
when you
play.
whip out Digging Duo. We talked
Ex-
about that. Was that last episode?
I
Last two
think we did,
episodes?
yes.
Yeah,
We harshed on that.
yeah.
So look,
You did. I did too.
Yeah. No, look, Snorlax. Okay, I think that probably makes the list. It wasn't on my list because I didn't want to be toxic, but okay.
Yeah.
So let's can we kind of figure out what cards are in the running for the top 10
Yeah,
and then
so I have
start
a
to shape the
28
list?
cards here. I'm in Pokemon TCG Live. These are all the cards I think on the list outside of Feebas. I just removed Feebas. So I think
Okay.
Drapion V is not on the list. I would cut that one.
No, Drapion Lee's V is not. My Lodic's not on the list. I don't know if you put it there or not,
It
but
is. Yeah, I guess Hawlucha is
I
not on the list.
no.
Yeah, or Sandshrew.
No, I think of the win rate ones, Giratina V Star certainly is consideration. Snorlax, I think.
That's it. So we're
I'm not sure.
we're essentially ignoring the win rate
Well,
stuff.
what else was there? All the others were like these weird control techs, weren't they?
Yeah. Well, there's
What else
Weird
was there that
V,
you want?
Gouging
Yeah, that
Fire
doesn't make
EX,
it. That look, I love that. It
Chi-Yu
doesn't make the
EX. Chi-Yu
list.
EX isn't that good.
Which one? What?
Chi-Yu,
Oh, no, that doesn't belong either.
and then Spiritomb.
Yeah, no, none of those deserve. You can't make an argument for any of those, can you?
No, no.
Which is weird because now we're saying win rate doesn't matter, and you're right, and that's kind of horrible.
Yeah. There are a few other cards here that there are a few pre-evolutions. There is Feebas, I said. There's Pidgey from Obsidian Flames. That is played in control, but it's played in not control. And
Okay.
then there's Charmander, the promo. That was kind of weird. It's not played a lot. I mean it's played
Okay.
some, but it's just a I don't know. It's a weird card. So that's not making the list. So I have Raging Bolt EX. I don't think it's making the list. I think we agree on that.
Yeah.
Uh, I think so this is such a weird list. So
All right. You want
um
to start naming cards because I don't have the same. I'm not looking at the exact same list as
yeah.
you.
So we got wait, what is your list? So I'm assuming you have all your cards, right?
I have your cards and my cards, but I don't have all these other cards
Okay.
we
So you
named.
don't have UEX. How many cards in your deck right now?
I
16?
have 16. Look,
Okay,
MUEX
so
could
Mew EX, Monkey Dory, and Comfy are the other three cards. I'm pretty sure.
to me, Comfy doesn't make it. I think
Yeah,
we're
that's
agreed
fine.
on
That's
that,
fine.
right? It's too
Yeah,
it's too niche.
I think Monkey Dory
Um,
doesn't make it. It doesn't like do that much.
it's a very interesting card. And I love it for that. Like for me, for like rogue deck building cards, it's on the top 10 for that probably.
Yeah, no, it's a
You
good card.
know,
I think it's like close,
but
but I don't think it's making it.
it's yeah, I think it falls off. To me, I put it in the 11th spot. So you want to leave off Monkey Dory? You want to put MUEX as a possible? Because
Yeah,
that
I guess so.
because or not.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think so.
Okay, it's versatile. So I have 17 Pokemon at this point. Is
Yeah,
that where
yeah, I
you're
do.
at too?
So I think Snorlax has to make it, and Radiant Greninja has to make it. Oh, I want to add a second Radiant Greninja to my deck to mark that, but I can't do that. So
Okay. Yeah, so that's fine. What I'd like to do is start to eliminate too, more so, I gotta say.
yeah, I know. I don't. I guess we can
But
we can lop off
unless
Gardevoir
you want to
EX
put,
and Fluttermane.
unless do you want to put Radiant Greninja at the top spot? You don't.
I probably can. I don't know. Let's take
Or
a
do you-
look at these.
okay,
I think Blood Moon
so
Ursaluna EX needs to make it. I think we both agree on that. It's really good.
yes,
It's
it
a
is.
colorless
It's a big
attacker.
attacker. It goes in. It's obviously splashable and everything.
Yeah. I think Gardevoir EX doesn't make it. I think you definitely don't want Gardevoir EX to make it.
Are
But
you okay with that? Not making it?
yeah, I think it's like okay, but it doesn't have the partners like it has had in the past formats. It's very good. I agree with the best deck in the game, but you can't
It
take
is.
great advantage
So
of the edge acceleration. So
okay, look, it's good. It's no disrespect to God of War. It's just not flexible enough to me. So
yeah,
doesn't
I
make
think
this list.
Fluttermane can't make it. It's like a counter. It's not
Yeah,
very good. It doesn't. It just kind of sits there. It's not
I
that
mean
bad, but it's carried by other cards.
it is. I mean it's the what the one two three four. It's the sixth most played. It's played in the sixth most decks, and
It's what?
it's tenth in terms of overall play. So those are very impressive stats. You know what I'm
But
saying?
yeah, but that
It's in
doesn't mean
top 10
it's
for plays, both in terms of
good.
individual plays. So you want to cut it.
Yeah, well, it's like
So
some card that kind of goes in, but it's not like
all
that
right. So
good.
everybody's wrong about what they think is good.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
it's not.
that's
No, it's not
fine.
wrong. It's good. It's good. It's not like would I rather if I'm sitting there, I got my Dragapult EX and you got your Fluttermane. I'd take Dragapult EX there. Um,
Well, Yeah, but now you've also like got your Drakeloaks played down and all that probably
That's
at this
true.
point. So whereas the
Um,
Fluttermane, I just chuck it in the active. So
yeah, no, we can
okay,
leave it. But you wanna?
no,
I think I
we can
wanna.
cut Fluttermane. That's
Um,
fine. It wasn't gonna be on my list at first, so let's cut that out.
yeah.
What about Iron Bundle? Because that to me
Um,
was one that I wasn't expecting. Do you
yeah,
think
I think
that
we can cut
belongs?
that one out. It's kind of niche. It's kind of weird. It's again, it's not like that meaningful and all. I mean, as I said, these are all good cards, but it's not that meaningful for these cards. I feel like.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Fion from the theme deck, which of course makes me like it more too.
Yeah, yeah. Fion, cool card. Iron Bundle, fun Pokemon. It's kind of weird. But yeah. So I think Grass Ogrepon shouldn't make it. I don't think Grass Ogrepon, the Teal Mask Ogrepon EX, I should say, is good. I think
Hmm.
it's kind of bad. I think it's
It's probably your
I,
third favorite Teal
yeah.
Mask
That's what I was gonna
I
say.
mean
I think
Ogrepon
it's the
EX,
third
right?
best Ogrepon. Um,
It's the
so,
most universal though. Well, that's not
and
necessarily
that's
true
no, I say
either,
that's
but
actually less universal than the fighting one or the water one. Um,
all right. I mean, it's played it's
it
it's
is. I
got
think it's
decent versatility,
yeah.
but
Well, it's mostly just played in Raging Bolt. It's the Raging Bolt's so highly played. It's starting to fall off. Or it is in the process of falling off, but
yeah.
um,
And
falling
it's
down.
A Regidrago too, right?
It's played in
The
Raging Drago.
primary
Yes.
it's the primary build of Regidrago right now.
Yeah, but it's not like Raging Drago, Raging Bolt. They're not like the best decks in the game or anything like that.
All right, so you're hating on my list. That's what you're doing.
I'm
So,
hating on
all
your
right.
list. You're hating on my list. So, I think we can get rid of Mew EX as well. I don't think either of us really want that. It's like good, but
I mean, it's versatile, right? Let's see, we're at 14 Pokemon here. Let's think.
14.
See, the problem is, on my list I have 14. At least that's
What's
what I have
near
on my
the end of the
screen.
list?
Oh
Wait, do you
no,
have Fluttermane?
13, I guess. No, I have 13. Sorry,
Wait,
I
isn't
forgot
doesn't
to get
it
rid of.
give you the number?
I have 13. Yeah, I forgot to delete the Teal Mask Ogre.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I have 13. See, the thing is, you're cutting off all the cards that were on your list. So
And
let's
it's
pause
working
this.
perfectly.
I know. So what else? What do we cut? So we have three cards to cut. You Mew. I don't know if I want Giratina V Star on the list.
Yeah, I
Let's see.
think.
Greninja.
Well, Mew EX
You don't
wasn't
like
on your list
Manaphy on the
either.
list. What's that?
Mew EX wasn't on your list either.
All right, we'll cut Mew EX then.
Okay,
That's true.
cool. Um, and then we have we could cut Giratina to restart, I guess. I don't know. I mean, Giratina is really good. I think
All right,
this is just
let's
such a
just go
weird list.
through. So we have to have Radiant Greninja.
Hmm.
I'm not sure about Manaphy.
I
We
think we
have to
should
have
have
Iron.
Manaphy. I think we should have Manaphy.
Okay, and we have to have Iron Hands EX, right?
Yep.
And we're keeping Lumineon V
Yeah, I
or
guess so.
no?
I
You
think
didn't have
so.
him on your list
I
though,
didn't,
right?
but it's a good card. It's a good card.
Okay, Blood Moon Ursa Luna has to stay, I think, right?
Yeah.
And now Dragapult, I guess, is he a given?
Yeah. We both have it. I mean,
Okay, and Rotom V. Now you didn't have Rotom V.
let's probably keep Rotom V. I think that's fine. That's good.
Okay, Charizard EX. You want to keep him?
Yeah, I think I want to keep Charizard or Giratina. Maybe cut one of those. They're both really good attackers.
Okay, they're different. All
I
right,
think we can
let's
no.
pause.
Let's get rid of Charizard. Charizard's not that good right now. I think
Okay, I mean, I'd
it's
rather
really
keep
good.
Charizard than Giratina myself because of versatility. But
Should we get rid of
you,
both of them? I think we get rid of
I mean,
both
the
of
thing
them.
is, you want to, and then keep
Yeah. Wait,
Pidgeot
isn't
and
Giratina more versatile than Charizard?
well, it depends. I still think Charizard can work in other things.
Yeah, but those are like just kind of Charizard decks. They're not exact. Anyway, so let's go with Charizard
Well,
and Giratina, and I think that's our list. I think that's good.
and then that 10, and then we just have to rank them.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we have
Charizard's
our
good. It's
10.
at the top of my list. But realistically, like in this current meta, it's not that good. It's okay, but
Look, it will rise up again, I think, but we never know. But it is a very good card
yeah.
with what it does. The problem is it starts too slow, right? That's the downside to it.
Yeah. I guess. I think so I think Dragapult EX is the worst card in this list.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Um, and I'm trying to reorder them in live. Oh, that didn't work.
You can't really do
I
that,
can't. I
right?
removed it and then added it back and then added it to the same spot, which is not like in any order. It's just the order that I added in. But lovely.
Right. You have to, yeah. Which is also, yeah, it's not. I mean, well, it's not designed for putting together lists. So I mean, or ordered list, right? Which
I
is
don't know if it's
it's fine.
designed for putting together any lists.
Well, well, yeah. I mean, it should be ordered somehow, right? But it's just ordered. I guess it's ordered kind of randomly or the way you put it in.
Yeah, which
So,
is just an error. So I think Dragonbolt's the worst. I think Rotom V is
mhm.
probably the second worst. It's like good. It's kind of weird, but
Okay,
it's
it
okay.
wasn't on your list. I had it as 10th, so I think
Yeah.
that's fine.
And then I think uh I don't know how I feel about. I think what do you think next?
It's really tough. Or do you want to start like I wasn't going to put Squawkabilly EX on the list. And I like decks that can I like those turbo decks some,
Yeah, we can do
but
Squawkabilly next. So actually, I think let's do Rotom V at 8 and Squawkabilly at 9.
okay, you want Rotom
Yeah,
V. Okay, you like
'cause
Rotom V decks more.
yeah, I think Squawkabilly EX and Rotom V between those two, that's like a lot of that's like multiple types of decks. And
Yeah.
turbo decks are you can argue between those two. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Oh, no, I didn't misspell it. Let's go.
All right. Look, is Radiant Greninja going to be number one?
Uh,
Do you think? If we know the
no.
number one, you
I
don't. What
I
what do you
think
let's argue number one because the middle gets harder to me.
mhm. So I think it's between three cards. I think it could be Radiant Greninja. It could
Mm-hmm.
be Blood Moon Luna EX. I think that
Yep,
one's
I can
really
see
close.
that.
It
It's
could be
very good. Yep.
Snorlax.
Okay, so I'm surprised you didn't say Iron Hands EX, because in
I
some
don't
ways
think Iron
that's
Hands is
better
that good.
than
It's okay. It's like it's not solid, but
okay,
I think Iron Hands. Let's put Iron Hands at 4. I think is fine. Wait, do you think
okay.
Lumineon V is better than Iron Hands? I don't think it's better than Iron
It,
Hands.
it depends. I like Lumineon V more, but I find Iron Hands just lets me down.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean, but when it works, it's tremendous.
Yeah, so let's do
So Iron
so
Hands,
then Luminion V at wait. What about Manaphy? Actually, I don't know. We don't know where we want
well,
Manaphy at.
Manaphy will be 7, right? You don't love Manaphy,
Manaphy
right?
will be 7, and then Pidgeot EX will be 6, and Luminion V will be 5.
Yeah,
Okay.
Pidgeot EX5 and
Wait, what?
Lumineon V. I mean, Pidgeot EX is 6, Lumineon V is a 5,
Yep.
right?
Um, so
We have Radiant Greninja. We have Bloodwind or Luna, which is obviously the big attacker here, and then we've got what's the other one? Oh,
Snorlax.
Snorlax.
Um,
I mean, of them, the one that has a deck named after it is Snorlax, right?
yes. And if you're looking at
And
win rate, Snorlax is really good. So
yes,
I think Snorlax is 3. I think you think Snorlax is 3 as well. And then it's
yeah.
Radiant Greninja, Blood Moon Luna EX Snorlax.
So okay, Radiant Greninja number one.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think I don't want. I don't think Blood Moon or Saloon is number one to me.
Yeah, okay. Do you think it should be switched to Snorlax? Should Snorlax be 2?
I'm fine with either. If you
Okay, yeah, I'd say
whichever way you want
Blood
to do
Moon
it.
Luna EX at a 2 here.
Okay, Snorlax is 3.
Yep.
Okay, so this is the definitive top 10 Pokemon in standard format in the middle of Twilight Masquerade.
Yep. Well, near the end, because wait, what time is it? Oh no.
We have
Yeah, I guess
another
in the
month
middle.
or something.
Yeah, because Shrouded Fable is like different, but and that's in a month. So yeah, and I'll read
Right.
out the list. We got number 1, Radiant Greninja. Number 2, Blood Moon
Yep.
Ursaluna EX. Number 3,
Hmm.
Snorlax. Number 4, Iron Hands EX. Number 5, Lumineon V. Number 6, Pidgeot EX. Number 7, Manaphy. Number 8, Rotom V. Number 9, Squawkabilly EX. I forgot the EX. And number 10, Dragapult EX. So what we learned, multi-prizers are good, but you don't need to be a multi-prizer.
Yeah.
Stage 2s are solid. Stage 1s are not. I don't think we talked about any stage 1s outside of maybe Curlia. And Milotic.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
Snorlax is a broken card.
No, yeah. Snorlax is unfortunately broken, and yeah, stage ones just aren't the place to be. Unfortunately, I'm a big. I have a soft spot for stage ones, but it is a struggle to get them going.
Yeah.
Too slow and not strong enough all to say all in one. So there we have it. Yeah, I mean we're at the point where in Twilight Masquerade the meta has certainly been defined. We're now we've had a lot of tournaments online and IRL. IRL tournaments I think are done basically. Worlds is the next big IRL tournament, which is
If you're looking
not
at
in obvious.
major IRL tournaments, like your regionals and
Yeah,
above, then there's only one in this format. which is kind of weird. But
It,
I mean, I don't
it
pay
is,
that
and
much attention to
now
IRL. Well, that's not exactly true. There's a Japanese tournaments. The
right.
Japanese tournaments, it's a weird thing. They're slightly different formats, but it's not like complete. It's pretty similar. Well, okay, it's ahead, but there was a Japanese tournament. Let me actually take a look. Um, there was a tournament in the beginning of June, and that was essentially this format where we see like
Okay.
Breedable Ogre Pond, for example, as a deck there.
Right. I mean, we're in a funny place now where the next big thing for competitive play is Worlds, but that's a small set of players. That's not most players. So you have a small set of
And it's a literal small set as well with Twilight with no with Shrouded Fable / Night Wanderer,
right.
more or
It's a
less same set.
special set part of it, and what 1,000 some players that are playing. So most Pokemon players aren't trying to solve that format. Where, but if you're going to Worlds, you don't care. That's all you care about now. So
Yeah.
it's kind of it's kind of bifurcated. Whereas the majority of players where we are, we're in the middle of Twilight Masquerade for like another month. So that's what we're still trying to develop decks within the in the context of, and obviously we're primarily casual players. So on the latter, that's what we're going to be seeing, and hopefully after hearing your results with Snorlax Stall, we don't see too much of that in the future.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a video about Snorlax. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I look forward to that. I'm hoping that video does not do very well. Is all I will say. But I've made my fair share, and then some of Snorlax decks. So
Yeah.
it's it is what it is. So all right, anything else as we wrap up here?
No, I think that's about it. Check out our YouTube channels, youtube.com/@10types and youtube.com/@uncommonfossil with a 1M. And
Exactly.
if you ever forget that, it's in your logo, right? Um,
Yeah, and it should be available on your favorite podcast player. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can take a look for it there. And if you're on a podcast player, check us out on YouTube. If you want to leave us comments, that do it on the YouTube videos. Um, you if you leave something on a podcast player, even if you can, we're not going to see it most likely. So
yeah, I don't know how to see it. I mean, you run the podcast stuff, but the podcasting like podcast player stuff,
right.
but even you don't see comments. It doesn't let you see that, right?
No, I don't really see comments. And the way it is, I think I'd have to log into all these different podcast things, and I'm just not doing that at this point anyway.
Yeah. But anyway, so oh, and if you want to leave a comment on one for one of us specifically to read, probably leave it on that person's channel.
Yep.
Um, although I mean, if you like ask for the other person, we're certainly in communication. But uh, we hope you enjoyed the podcast, and tell us if you have any podcast suggestions. But we hope you enjoyed, and we're excited to see you in the next episode.
Hey, take care.